Thank you. Thank you very much for being patient with us when we went over a little bit in executive session. If you could, we have a quorum, if you could please join us in the pledge of allegiance. But we have one pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You just have to bear with me a little bit because the font is so small, and even when it's big, I make mistakes. So, page 2. Same, right? Yeah. Okay, that brings us to student recognition.
I believe that the flag was removed for our veterans day, so it's actually wonderful. Right there. So today, we're very happy to have members from middle school here. So I am going to pass this off to Dr. Reggie.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to start with student recognition. For the month of September, we celebrated the learner profile trait of Open Minded, and we're going to recognize our students. Students are nominated by their teachers. The teachers meet as a grade level team and nominate students that they feel really exemplify that learner profile trait during the month. So for the month of September, we're going to start with our 6th graders. Charlotte Amato, come on up. Charlotte is a truly an amazing 6th grade student. Her open-mindedness sets her apart as she eagerly explores new ideas and perspectives with enthusiasm. Charlotte's willingness to embrace diverse viewpoints makes her a valuable member of her classes, fostering a rich and inclusive learning environment for everyone. Congratulations, Charlotte. Ari is not able to be with us tonight, so we're going to move on to 7th grade. Ava Cronchella, come on up. Ava's teacher said Ava is always open to working with others. She's positive and upbeat no matter who she is assigned for as a partner. While many students prefer to work only with their current friends, Ava makes friends by being open to working with new people in class. Congratulations, Ava. Chelsea wasn't able to come tonight. Next up, we have our 8th graders, Caleb Delgado. Caleb's teacher said, Caleb has had an outstanding year thus far. He has demonstrated perseverance in his academic pursuits and has consistently taken the initiative to drive his own growth. Furthermore, he has exhibited a welcoming and open-minded attitude towards forging new friendships this year and embracing various opportunities within our school community. Last but not least, Jaylee Miranda, come on up. Jaylee's having an exceptional year thus far. She approaches new experiences with an open mind, both inside and outside the classroom. Notably, she has had an invaluable source of support from her classmates, and her positive influence has made her a role model for her peers. Congratulations. So next we're going to start with Inquire. We celebrated during the month of October. We have Jana Casper first. Jana is a dedicated student. When she doesn't understand something, she's not afraid to ask and always seeks clarification. Congratulations. Next we have Jeremy Bolger. Jeremy asks thoughtful, insightful questions in class. He considers information and researches material to enhance his understanding. Great job. Next, we have Patriot Markle with us.
Patriot is engaged in class. He asks perceptive questions in class and is curious about the world around him. Next, we have Josiah Bernard. Josiah has an innate curiosity that drives him to ask questions and engage in the learning process in a positive and productive way. And next, we have Nora Zabao. Nora consistently demonstrates a natural curiosity, actively seeking knowledge and asking insightful questions to deepen her understanding in all of her classes. Congratulations, everyone.
Maybe Jay comes over.
Thank you.
Congratulations to all of our recipients. Okay, next we're going to move on to what we're calling new at the middle school. We thought it would be nice at this point of the year to present to the Board of Education and the community a few new initiatives that are taking place this year at the middle school. And we're going to start with the announcement that for the first time, we are going to have a spelling bee at the middle school. We've never had a spelling bee at the middle school before. There has always been one actually in QE for the past few years. So the students have taken part. The spelling bee is going to take place on January 19th. The finalists, parents, as well as Board of Education Administration will be invited to attend the spelling bee on January 19th. More details to come on the time. And we're going to, Mrs. Brennis is running it. It will be live streams for the entire school, so students can watch in their classes if their teachers wish to put it on. And up here on the board tonight, we have the finalists in each grade, including the two-year rating champion from 6th grade, Ryan, who will be competing against other 6th graders as well as 7th and 8th graders for a full middle school spelling bee this year in January. So more details to come on that. And the next thing we're going to present on tonight, we have 4 new clubs running at the middle school this year. And what really makes extracurriculars special, and I think kind of have that it factor, is when you have super passionate educators who are passionate about what they're doing and eager students. And the reason these 4 clubs were added this year is because we had high student interest in this area. So that's kind of what we do each year. We look at club enrollment, and student interest and engagement in the clubs, and we make decisions on which clubs we're going to start and the following school year. So we had student interest in starting these 4 clubs, as well as eager, passionate advisors, which we'll hear from tonight, who were eager to jump in and say, yes, I'll be the advisor. So we're going to start with Esports and Gaming Club. Mr. Wilder, come on up.
You want me to bring my?
Yes, please.
So, Ava, since you're here, you can see this. Yeah, come on up. You're in.
Yes.
So, the video game, it's esports because high school is esports. And so we're kind of loosely connected to them. But really, we're just a video game club because we're not really super competitive. It's like more of the idea came because my son, JJ, was new to the district. And I just felt like he needed a place that was like a safe environment. And so when we came up with the idea, it was like cooperative games where kids can kind of come together, super inclusive. So we have kids from all different, like 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. We have kids all over, play sports, all this stuff, and we all meet up and we play Mario Kart, we'll play like cooperative games and things like this. It has quickly become like the largest club, I think, in the middle school.
Yeah, so over the dividing wall, if you're familiar with the middle school, the dividing wall is open and it's actually 2 classrooms full at the same time.
Yeah, we have like 35 kids on average. So Mr. Mishler with the Esports Club in high school has been kind enough to like lend us some equipment and controllers and things like that. And we hook them, as you can see there in the picture, right up to the smart board. So that's a good use of academic. And Nora is the president of my club, but one thing that is like a big thing I've noticed being a 43-year-old is back when I was a kid, like it was primarily a boy thing, but that has completely changed now, where like there's as many girls as boys, and Nora's the president of our club, but Ava is like the greatest Mario Kart player of all time. So, do you want to say anything about that?
The next new club we have running at the middle school this year is the Rising Road Runners Club. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Stein.
Okay, thank you for inviting us. This is Kaylee and Gia. They're our officers for the Rising Road Runner Club. Kaylee's president and Gia is the treasurer. So they got a kick out of that, but I have them sign the forms. Rising Road Runners came about because after spending a few years in the middle school, I was always wondering if there was something more we could do for the sixth graders, since they don't have an after-school athletic opportunity or sports opportunity. So a few years ago, I started getting more into running myself, and I have a couple of daughters who live in Manhattan, and they encouraged me to become a New York Roadrunner member. And when I did, I didn't realize that there's a youth coordinator opportunity through New York Roadrunners in the city to run a program out of school. And they basically are just looking for someone who would convey a love of running and exercising, which we do in physical education class every day. But we decided to make this an after-school program, and their program is called Rising Road Runners. And so we named it after the actual entity in the city. And we have about 18 to 22 students when the theater program has their show in a couple of weeks. We're gonna get everyone back. So it really is, in the beginning, I kind of had no idea, what was involved, but once I made the commitment, they're sending us T-shirts, they're sending us equipment at completely free. So it's a donation to the school. Throughout the school year, we fill out activity forms that go to their headquarters, and we've already gotten a delivery of nearly 500 T-shirts. I brought some tonight to give to the board and everyone involved in the white building that please pass out. So, and our runners already have shirts, and the 20 or so students that committed from the beginning of the school year are going to get running shoes from New Balance. So those are going to be coming in right before Christmas. And they have a website with activities and things that they recommend. And the girls actually wrote a little blurb to retail.
Every club meeting, we always do a lap on the track with the weather nice, and sometimes we also do real life racing. We do a different sport every time. Some of the sports we have been doing so far are soccer, flag football, and racing. The club is a great way for middle school students to get better at running and play sports. Even if you aren't better at running the sports, it's a great way to get better at whatever you aren't good at. Have a good night. Thank you for your time.
Also, there's a little video on the left, and we went through a little bit of strength training, so they're learning that, as you increase your endurance, strength training is a big fit, CrossFit. So we've done a little free weight action, and the one on the left here, they have dumbbells to do some core and upper body strength.
right.
Dead dogs, 1, 2, chest press, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and rest. One more set. Ready? Last one, feet up in the air, bend your knee. Okay, and then on the right over here, this is a tic-tac-toe relay with beanbags. So they're just on 2 teams and they high-five each other like a field day relay race at Clayton Huey. And they run out and they drop a beanbag in the hoop to see which team gets tic-tac-toe first. So basically, to wrap it all up, our 6th grade students are learning that building their endurance, their cardiovascular fitness will help them in all the sports they play and kind of give them a preview to being on a team in the middle school and the high school.
And one of the things that's the nicest that I see is that there's kids that consider themselves athletes and kids that consider themselves non-athletes in Mr. Swift's Science Club, which is just a beautiful thing. It goes along with like the inclusive nature of the clubs we were talking about before. So, thank you girls for coming.
Different sizes.
Yeah, we can do that. There's multiple sizes in the back. Okay, the next club that's new at the middle school, again, due to faculty and student interest, is the horticulture club. Mrs. Cavanaugh was not able to come tonight, so I'm going to share her mission and future goals of the club. And we'll put more about it and more updates as the goals come to fruition. But the mission is for students to learn the process of growing and maintaining plants, flowers, and vegetables, foster teamwork and socialization, and build self-confidence. And their club's goals this year and in the years to come is to beautify the middle school courtyard with gardens of flowers, vegetables, and plants, make holiday crafts, and then they want to be community service-oriented club in which they will be donating their vegetables and fruits to local food pantries and doing things like bringing floral bouquets to the local nursing homes. So we're excited to see the horticulture club, grow. All right, hold on, I got to stop. All right, Mr. Roy, Technology Club.
I'm looking at myself on that, I should be at Mr. Slipline's club. It's amazing. So hi everybody, I'm Mr. Roy. It's great to see that everybody came out tonight. So the Technology Club is a chance for middle school kids to be able to work in the shop. Because the way it's set up in 7th grade, 8th grade as well, they have 10th period, they don't get to use the technology room for extra help very often. So by having a technology club, now we have kids making Christmas presents, holiday presents. We met a couple times, and the last time was so nice out. We showed off some rockets with video of the rockets. We do airplanes, we do these hovercrafts that kind of skim across the school floor in the hallways. Depending on how many more kids we get, because now that football's over, I think we're getting a couple more tomorrow. We're gonna try to make like I said, like a project for every season using the woodshop tools. And again, they never really had a chance to use the tools and machines in 7th grade. So that's what this club really gave them, was a chance to be able to do that. So again, I'm gonna see you, Mr. Slipstone, real soon. I'm working on it. But it's cool because the rockets that we shot, I was gonna bring it across Main Street, but it was like this big, and I felt like I was carrying this weapon across Main Street, so I didn't bring it. But they're really large. They're pretty cool. They open up with like a 6-foot parachute. In one of the videos, you'll see from launch to recovery, the whole process. The whole process is to try to recover it, not just to shoot it off, but to get it back. So they calculate the wind and the direction of the wind, and they estimate the angle at which you shoot the rocket. So it is fun, but it also has good component science. I think the one on the left is a full recovery, so maybe we'll just watch that one.
My favorite part of this one is you tell all the kids to back up, and they said, no, really? So it goes a lot farther than we do.
I'm telling her it's okay, don't worry. We have a lot of sixth graders this year. They see Miss Mulcher bring some
Hey,
sixth
can we
graders.
back up? Come on, bro, back up.
Really?
No, I'm serious, back up. My camera countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So we shot about 4 or 5, or maybe even 6 that day, and we got most of them back. So
Oh my
we really
God.
tried to do is get them back. It's the hard part. This rocket had an egg in it. It holds an egg, so the egg is like symbolizes a person, and we bring that egg back to Earth safely. So that's the science behind it. This one would really, this one would really crooked. Oh yeah, that one a little crooked. But if you notice, we shoot it on an angle so that when the wind takes it and brings it back to the spot where we started. That's the tricky part. So thanks for letting the kids come and do some extra woodworking and projects. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
What's great about this club, for those of you that have had seventh graders, they take technology for a full year in seventh grade. But some students have a real passion for the wood shop and all things technology, and this gives them an opportunity to continue that. As an entering sixth grader, there's a lot of sixth graders that are excited to get in there, and now they have a club to kind of
And eighth
teach
grade,
them.
because
And then
eighth grade doesn't have.
eighth graders that really have a passion for that can continue their love after school. So that's been a great thing. All right, something else that's new this year at the middle school that we started is pizza with the principal. And the left is the invitation that the kids get. And Mrs. Fabian and I, that was last week, we get another one today. So basically what we're doing every Wednesday, Mrs. Fabian and I are having lunch with a small group of sixth grade students in my office. And it really just gives the students an opportunity to get to know us on a personal level. We tell them about our hobbies and interests and our families. We both share about that, and then we kind of get to know each of the students in the same way. They share about themselves and what it's doing that students really know. And one of our intentions was, of course, to get to know our students and have our students get to know us, but also to have them come to the principal's office and sit in the principal's office. So if anything does arise or come up in middle school, they're comfortable and they know that it's like a safe, welcoming place where they can come to us. We try that our doors are always open and they're able to come in. Sometimes they get very nervous and intimidated to come in. So once they have lunch there, it hopefully opens the door for the sixth grade and the years to come. So it's been great so far. It's been really fun. Some of the things that the kids share with us are funny, and we have really good laughs. They get to know us, and it's just a really great period. 5 on Wednesdays has quickly become one of our favorite 40 minutes of the week. So we really enjoyed getting to know our sixth graders. We're going to continue to do this all year until we meet with every sixth grader. Okay, our 8th grade IB community projects are continuing this year, and we have a few new aspects and tweaks. The first one is individual presentation. So if you've attended our gallery walk in the past, it's in the middle school gym. We are continuing that gallery walk and adding in individual presentations, which would be like a 5 to 6 minute TED Talk style, where the students would present their individual project to a small panel of teachers and administrators. So that will be coming up right before the gallery walk, and we're going to add that in this year. It will also give the students a good growing opportunity to prepare for the gallery walk before they're in the gym in front of the community. So that will be added this year. Community partnerships, students will also be inviting the organizations that they worked with. So in the past, students, parents, and guardians were invited, the Board of Education and Administration were invited, and this year we're going to reach out to the community and continue that school to community partnership and bring in the organizations that the students work with for the community project. And lastly, this year, the students will have an opportunity to apply for grants through the Guild of Ivy Schools of the Northeast, which is referred to as GIFTS. And we do have a few students that have already applied for the grant, and that grant money will be provided to the students to assist them in their community projects. So we have that as a new aspect for the community project this year as well. And students will be back in spring to share the community projects with you, but now you have a little bit of background of the new aspects. And we're going to close with Mrs. Bolger with what's being referred to as the middle school closet. This is actually in the works currently.
It's like hot off the press.
Hot off
No
the
one
press.
knows about it yet.
Yes.
You're gonna be the first
It's
to know.
unveiled.
Even my students don't know. So this was inspired by a couple of things. Some of you know that I am doing a lot of costuming for the play this year, and so I've been spending a lot of time with like savers and doing a lot of connecting, trying to get like a lot of freebies and things like that. And then it's also my fashion unit, and I know like Dr. Meyer, I think, popped in and saw us doing draping in the library. I think Dr. Soto, you saw too on Veterans Day. A lot of you saw it happening there, which you saw. The kids love it. They love fashion. They're so good at it. They're so excited by it. So as we're doing fashion, and I'm thinking about hand sewing coming up, I was like, you know what? I think that there's a need to have a community closet. We can provide clothing for students in need. We can swap clothing for kids that are really interested in fashion and they feel like their closet at home is limited. We can use it as a repair shop and to do some like teaching moments with ironing, pressing, mending, taking things in, giving us some real clothing for them to work with, sew themselves and wear it. So I went to Dr. Reggio and Mrs. Fabian and I was like, how do you feel about me putting like a clothing drive in my classroom? And they were like, love it. We think it's great, let's do it. So I started doing some outreach. I already have a few places already willing to donate some wraps to me. And then I was like, all right, how are we gonna do it? So I talked to Mrs. Doherty, who runs peer leadership. She teaches that class first period. It just so happens that it's in my room. And she has some really great students, and I mentioned it to them. And I was like, how do you feel about collaborating with me? And then maybe we can open the store a couple of days a week, first period, since middle school students don't have first period unless they're in chorus or band. They can come in, make an appointment with us. We just have a few students in there that are peer leaders. They can help them shop, help them talk with them. Everything's confidential, be in the room before school. Nobody knows about it in the event that it's something that they need. And then for those kids that want to shop in twos or do a little fashion like styling, those girls can facilitate that as well. So it's coming together really nicely. Of course, space is going to be an issue, but I think we can do it. And so we're just really, really excited about it. So if anybody has ideas or wants to help out at all, like, give me a ring. Because it's going to be really, really fabulous.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So we hope you enjoyed hearing new to middle school things this year, and we'll continue to update the Board of Education in future board updates. And thank you for having us here tonight, Dr. Sarah.
No, well, thank you for coming. I genuinely love the things that our students do, the wonderful things that you are all doing, and certainly appreciate the efforts of our staff members. Every time we had some student recognition, no matter where it's from, I'm amazed. I need to stop being amazed, but I'm amazed by what our children in this community accomplish on a daily level. So thank you so much for coming today. We really, really appreciate it. We have a wonderful long-range financial plan presentation coming up. If you would like to stay for that, we also recognize it's getting later, and some of you may have homework or sleeps or whatever. So if you want to take your leave now, thank you so much for coming.
Stand next to each other, put up your face, smile. Smile. I'm gonna put it side by side from when you're 5, okay? Just so you know.
I never realized it was so much smaller.
Yeah.
She's really, it's the haze. Yeah. It is,
Thank you. Have a good night. You too.
You
Good.
too.
You too, man. Nice rockets, Mr. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good. Old school, man. I love it. Love it.
But,
So he's happy.
he's like 2 years away.
For those of you that are still here, I did forget to point out there are 2 part-times to speak. One is in a few moments, anything without the agenda only, and then at the end of the meeting, there's a public session you can speak about anything. If you do plan on speaking, you just sign in book over there by the door, just fill that out. Okay?
So we will have a brief conversation about a updated long-term financial plan. We implemented the long-term financial plan last year. It was a board goal to get this put in place. So it's a 4-year plan that gets reviewed throughout the course of the year, but it's a formal update to the board. Our audit is complete. from the 22-23 school year. We now have a little bit more information for what we're looking at into the future, so we were able to update some of the items within the actual plan document. So we always start with what the board goal is with regards to fiscal and educational solvency. And there's 5 areas underneath this. While there's no more create the long-term financial plan because we accomplished it and now it's just maintaining it, all of these items have an impact on that financial plan. So the energy performance projects, that's going to be saving utility expenses, so we're going to start seeing some savings in there. The capital bond vote, which unfortunately was not successful, but conversations are continuing, and that does have impact with regards to improvements within the building as well as borrowings and state aid. The collective bargaining agreements that are expiring this year, again, there's a fiscal impact to that. Our contract with the Okeechobee Nation for education of their students, there's monetary impacts on that as well. And the school lunch program stability. If we can't stabilize that program, the general fund has to pay for it, which is on the taxpayer, so that comes into play as well on the long-term plan. So we take all of these into consideration as we go through and update what our projections are into the year. So just quick briefly, what is the financial plan? It is just really a multi-year forecasting tool. It is unaudited information. It's what we know now. It's using controller audits. It's using our information we receive from our auditors, what the requirements are in legislation, what are our credit ratings, transparency rules, anything each of some BOCES has to contribute to us. So we take all of this information and put it into a software that helps us now project out into the future where we're looking at and what's the trajectory of the district. So with regards to revenue, we have 60% of our revenue is from local sources. So those local sources are taxpayer dollars as well as some miscellaneous items such as our interest earnings on our investments, tuition revenues that we receive for various students that we educate here. So there's a whole bunch of information that goes into that, and then 40% is coming from state aid. That number has been increasing, and that's a result of the foundation aid that was fully implemented this year. So we've been seeing an increase in the state aid, which is helping offset our local share that we need to collect from. On the expenditure side, salaries and benefits make up the bulk of our expenses. And that is really common in any school district and most organizations. We need to pay everybody that works here, and everybody has benefit packages that go along with that. So that is also on the expenses. We have our debt. Some other items are contractual expenses, tuition maybe that we pay out to other districts to educate some of our kids that we can't accommodate here in district. Our transportation costs, our utility costs are all taken into account and projected out with the increases that we are receiving from other outside sources to understand where we will be going in the future. So some assumptions that we use going into this year's updates. On the side of revenue, we're looking at about 2.3% increase in property tax, and that's using the tax cap calculator that is projected to be what our maximum allowable will be. So it is our recommendation to always go to that maximum allowable so that we don't leave any money on the table, as it does become cumulative year after year. This year we did have a tax cap of over 4%, but we came in under 2%. And that was a result of state aid kind of making up that difference. We didn't need to go to that level of increasing the revenue, so the board made a conscious decision, keeping in mind the community and the impact it was on that, so we came in well underneath our tax cap. We are projecting 2% increases on our state aid going forward. We will no longer have those large increases we saw the past couple of years for foundation aid, but we are being told it will be maintained, the formula will run. So we're being told project no more than 2% at this time. We are seeing a decrease in enrollment from the East Mauritius students that are coming over, as well as our special education students that we educate from other districts. Some of them are just simply aging out of the program, and some maybe are needing a more restrictive environment. They have to be transferred to a different location. East Mauritius School District is seeing a decrease in enrollment, so there is a direct impact on that to all districts that receive their children in to educate. On the expense side, we are adjusting our salaries based on the current obligations we have in our contracts. The teacher contract, the administrative contract, and the clerical contract all expired this year. So it's kind of hard to predict what is the impact going to be in the future years, as we've not yet entered negotiations. But we do kind of just take, okay, what have we done in the past years in order to try to do some estimates going forward. We have ERS, which is the employee retirement system, as well as the TRS, teachers retirement system, projections from their actual actuarial reports that we use, what those contribution rates are looking like going forward. Our benefit, really more so on the health insurance side. We've seen a significant increase the past 2 years, but we are starting this year, they actually did a mid-year decrease for the first time, as I think they got a lot of complaints as to how high those rates went. And they found that their financial solvency is a little bit better than what they expected. So we're averaging just under 7% increase in that area. And then our contract costs, which are related to transportation, our education providers that we contract out with, are just under 5% as an increase for each year out. Again, it's just keep in mind, these are projections, they're not audited numbers. These are based on information we have at current time to move forward.
Yes. Transportation contracts, does that factor in this idea of the, what's that?
The electric buses.
Yeah, we have an issue that's coming, that's gonna drive costs, it's the transition to electric buses. By 2027, all buses purchased have to be electric. Right now, and by 2035, entire fleets have to be. So we're hopeful that will change in terms of flexibility in those timelines, because it's unmanageable, because transportation costs will skyrocket at 4.9%. Would never come close to covering in terms of transportation costs.
Yeah, and currently our contract with transportation goes up by CPI, and it's a May CPI for transportation, so we saw over a 6% increase as a result of that. We can see that skyrocket even more. Now, while we don't own our own buses, there is an impact to the districts that don't have their own.
If we don't get those contracts negotiated like in the next year, what's will happen as they prepare, they're gonna start to build in those costs.
Right, so as we're continuing to learn, I just got back today from a conference where there were numerous sessions on the electric bus vehicles. Superintendents are talking about it. It's really the hot topic. We're all kind of tired of talking about it because it's all we're talking about lately. But there really is going to be a significant impact to us. So we're still gathering the information. NYSERDA, who's overseeing this, is continuously pushing out that information to us. So we're monitoring it closely to see what that true impact is going to be on us as a result. We've not yet had conversations with Montauk Bus as to what their plan is, but I know they are in conversation as well with NYSERDA and with the transportation departments to figure out what they need to do, as well as the biggest issue is the infrastructure and whether or not there's going to be enough power supply to actually plug all these buses in. So that is a big part of the conversation, which is why we think some of this might get delayed into future years out.
Carrie, is money from the state for design studies?
So there's no money for design studies. There is state aid for the actual purchase of the buses. There's building aid.
But again, like, when you're talking about a fleet of buses, the state aid is on 6 buses. So it's.
Right. I thought I saw something about the state paying for implementation plan development.
There's a whole lot that is in this. I mean, if you saw the New York Times last week, the New York Times ran a story basically saying that when this comes to fruition, districts are going to be able to push power back into the grid at times of stress, which is absurd to think that you have to not only build an infrastructure, but then you have to build connections to the grid for that infrastructure.
But then you can't get building aid. So if you're building a garage to house these buses, but you're gonna sell that aid, then you don't, that negates getting your building aid. Facilities just did not, also included this in their update at the conference I was just at, that there's so many factors into it that we're all just still trying to figure out. Do we, as a district that doesn't have our fleet, do we still have to have chargers on site for those buses that are bringing athletes here from Nassau possibly for championships or whatever, to sit and wait and have to plug in and wait so that they can get back? So, but the biggest thing is the power infrastructure doesn't exist right now.
Right. And this was driven by the government. This was what we did by the legislature. The government put this in the budget. And so now the legislators are saying, and I think, again, met with the entire Parliament contingent yesterday, and the agreement is that, hey, something's got to be done. We need more flexibility in these timelines. This is unmanageable as it is. So we're optimistic that something will be done with it. I mean, nobody is arguing that green energy is good, that it isn't a good thing. It's just, the impacts could be enormous.
So at this point, there's no side that will be obligated to undertake that planning on any known timeline yet?
Well, the timeline is just that, 2027, any new buses purchased, 2035, all buses. So it's, the 2027 isn't the problematic timeline, it's the 2035 is the problematic timeline. If you're a district that owns 50 buses and you turn over 2 to 3 a year, you'd never get there.
So within the area of revenues, again, local, state, and federal, we have a small amount of federal, and that's just some federal reimbursements we get on some services we provide to some students, so it's a very minimal dollar value. But this is just looking out into the future of where we see that going. Really a continuous incline, as I mentioned before, with staying at about 2% on the property taxes, 2% increases on state aid, and then all the other miscellaneous revenue is coming into play to balance that out. This is a projection from a 10-year look back, really, and going into 2028 of our expenses. So the large red at the bottom are our salary costs, as you can see, again, the largest portion, and then the top red is the benefits. So in between that black is our contractual expenses, which includes the transportation contracts, our tuition contracts, those type of things. So those are our three main categories that really we hone in on the projection side of things, because that really is what's going to fluctuate where we go year over year. So just a larger summary going forward, and what this does here is shows the board where are we with fund balance, how is fund balance helping us, so we've been slowly decreasing our reliance on fund balance. We're now at that $800,000 plan fund balance. We are looking at continuing that going forward, as well as continuing to use our reserves that we have in place. So the past couple of years, we've been allocating reserves to the budget to help offset expenses with regards to TRS, ERS, and unemployment. We recommend continuing to do that because we have been successful in replenishing those reserves that we use. So whatever we use each year, the $200,000 to pay our bill, at the end of the year, we're paying that back into the reserve, as well as most times putting additional funds into that. So our reserves will remain healthy. And as you can see, the surplus deficit chart, in the end of this current school year, we do anticipate a surplus again at the end of the year. The budget is frozen at the end of this month. So that gives us the ability to really monitor our expenses and revenues the future months out, as well as have that surplus so we can pay back our reserves for what we used. And then you can see in 25 and out, it's kind of just flat, which is good. We're not in the negative, we're not dropping below. Last year when we were doing this and we were looking at it, we had kind of two choices. Do we go above the tax cap or go under it? So we're no longer at that point because we've stabilized now at this point in time financially. So we are in a good spot going forward, despite declining tuition enrollment, but we are looking to maximize our rate. We're revising some, the way some things are being done. We brought some consultants in that have looked at some stuff within the area of special education aid that we get. So we are really maximizing all the aid categories that we possibly can in order to help
Karen,
go forward. Yeah.
we're missing something. On the left column, you've got the expenditures greater than revenues by like 1 or 2 million each year. Surplus deficit.
So then by applying fund balance to it, it balances us out. We're taking our revenue, we're creating our own revenue. Yep. So just quickly in summary, we're continuing to build our reserves, and we're trying to, be diligent in what we're doing with those reserves. Last meeting, we did a reserve plan update. That reserve plan is available on the website, so you can have a clear understanding of what our reserves are and where we're at with each of them. We're looking, continuously watching what's called the fiscal cliff. It is on the horizon. The conference I was just at, it was either it's happening this year or in the next 2 years, so we are monitoring that closely. We have done good things with our grant funding to help us kind of not get there. Those positions we had, we are rolling into the budget going forward. But we've been doing other things in order to have savings to make up for those positions. We've applied for additional grants as well that have become available to help stabilize us moving forward. Our contract negotiations, as I mentioned too, are starting this year.
You know, when we say fiscal cliff, just for, I mean, you're in it, so you know.
Right.
The fiscal cliff essentially said a lot of money was given grants for, which referred to as Kershaw, and now those were funds that were expiring. They were federal funds that came into the schools after COVID to support learning loss, to support social emotional programs, to support kids. And with those funds over 3 years expiring, that's when people in education talk about fiscal cliff. It's how do you maintain the programs that you put in place with those funds without having to face this fiscal cliff when you have to put in the general fund. I think Carrie's done a great job of looking at that, and from the very start, we mitigate that by trying to transfer some of those each year annually, so that it's not a dramatic effect at the end. And so that's why it's not really impacting us that.
And that's where this planning, that's where this comes into play. So it really came, you know, that the board had it as a goal, and we dove into this financial planning. We've always looked at the future, but we've never really dove into the true numbers or our enrollment numbers. The actual plan, it's about a 40-page document with a lot of different graphs and charts and history. Voter history is in there. What is our enrollment? What's our ethnicity look like in the district? How is that impacting our budget? So Dr. Sarah and I sat kind of and really dug through those numbers in order to project out what does it look like? What teachers are we going to need? Do we need more ELL teachers? Do we need more special ed teachers? Can we get dual certified teachers? So it's not only helping fiscally, but it's also planning curriculum-wise to make sure we have that stability going forward and can keep everything we currently have in place into the future years. So, you know, we're continuing to monitor the transportation, the contract increases, the electric bus situation that we're working on, our health insurance, the costs are increasing significant. So the TRS and the ERS are fairly stable. There's usually never more than a 2% increase in those areas. But those are things that we're watching constantly. As the information comes in, our plan gets updated. As I do my monthly projections, it's impacting this as well. So the actual document will be put up onto the website for everybody to take a look at. Feel free to email any questions or clarifications that you might want on what we're doing with the plan fiscally going forward. Questions for the board?
Yeah, Carrie, we've always been trying to look for new and getting more discretionary grants or competitive grants for various things. Has that been helping much?
So we've been looking, we continue to look. Our free reduced numbers are not where, so a lot of those are contingent upon where your free reduced numbers are. You usually have to be above a 30% threshold. We're just underneath it. Actually, I'll do a little plug for free lunch with that. So we recently, the USDA just changed guidelines. So it used to be a 40% threshold and your district would get free lunch for all. If you have, it's what's called a direct certification. If you have enough families in your district that are receiving services from the government directly and not doing a paper application to the district because of their income, if you have 40% of your population, you qualify to get lunch, free breakfast and lunch for all students. We have not been at that number. We're not even at 30%. On October 1st, they announced that they dropped that threshold to 25%. So as a result, they reopened the application process. It was due back in April of last year, but because of that change, they reopened it up. And as soon as you apply, you will get, it usually takes them up to 2 weeks to go through and approve your application or disapprove it. And then you're approved for the month following. We kind of ended up in an anomaly. I don't know how, but we're taking it. We worked on it, my staff and I worked on it to get that application up. We are at 27.96%. So we did qualify district-wide. You can also qualify just certain buildings as well, but we actually qualified K-12 with a 27% number for all students to receive. We submitted the application on October 29th, I believe it was. And on the evening of November 1st at 6 p.m., we got an email saying your application has been approved effective November 1st. I read it over and over, and I worked with our lunch program, and she's like, no, but it's supposed to be the month after. So it clearly states effective November 1st, which is why you received notification from us, unfortunately the day after, because we got the notification the night before, that now all students at Center Riches, at least for the next 4 years, will receive 1 free breakfast and 1 free lunch every single day. So it is a great opportunity to make sure all our kids are fed. Everybody has that opportunity. It has to be a full component lunch. However, if they want anything a la carte, snacks, second lunch, they do have to pay for that. So that is not free, but it is a breakfast and a lunch every day for every child is available now, district-wide. So I'm working, Whitson's is our contractor, and I am working with them on now implementing new programs. How do we get the kids excited about that? How do we really get them to take part in these programs, especially the breakfast program, to make sure kids start off the day with a good meal? So we're working through some ideas using really what other districts are doing that have had this program for years. Working with them, kind of piggybacking off of what they have, how will it work here. So you will be seeing more initiatives coming forward as I work with them and then work with the building leaders to really start pushing out more and more opportunities to make sure our kids will get the meal. Good question. Yeah, no, okay. So, you know, with that, I don't know if they'll change grant qualifications as a result, because it was always that 30% threshold, which we never met. So it's kind of a wait and see, but we do always look at, you know, as I said, there's some IP grants that they're applying for now. There recently was what's called a Recov grant that was made available. It was announced back in August. And at the time we had a week to apply, and it was a 50-page document. But then they kept extending it, so it was effective November 1st. We have applied for it. There's two components of it, mental health as well as learning loss, and we've applied for both of those grants. We have yet to hear if we received it. So that's part of the problem too. I've been emailing them almost every day. You wanted me to start these programs November 1, but you still haven't told me if I have the money and the funding to do it. So it's a bit of a struggle. We continue to, you know, maximize all the other grants that we do receive on an annual basis and continue to always look to see what else we can get to help support programs.
So when we get to the revenue presentation, can you give us a summary of how that's grown, how those grants have accumulated?
Yeah. Because we're also closing out a lot of these long-term grants. The CURSA is complete. We finalized those reports. The ARPA, we have till the September 2024. So those programs are starting to come to a close, and we'll give you an update as to where we're at with all those programs and the initiatives that we're looking to continue in the general fund budget as a result. There is a summary in the long-term plan as well for all the ARPA programs and what the funding is and how much has been spent year over year. In the appendix, there is a summary for that.
Just a quick question about, you mentioned that East Meridian's enrollment is on the decline, and I know a lot of school districts on Long Island, that is the trend. Is our district on the decline for enrollment as well, meaning like lower numbers year after year? And do you foresee that affecting the transportation costs going down, or maybe in the future projected over 5 years would we need less buses per se to help them?
I would say our enrollment's kind of level. We're graduating out some larger classes, but our incoming K has stayed, been around 100 kids coming in.
We were seeing a decline, but there was a lot of like curve like COVID and people moved. I think that stabilized us. You know, the number of kids that really need to move out to, you know, is basically running the buses, needing a pretty significant, you know, to decrease routes. And I don't know if you see that.
So as a result of COVID, we decreased the amount of buses we run up at the secondary. There's
Well,
only 80.
we are looking to contract with the transportation at Boston to take a look at things on that. We will be.
More questions?
Good, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Committee?
Just a couple, you know, I'm excited for girls volleyball and up to states, which is really cool. They won counties and, you know, have going on championships last weekend. And came back victorious, so heading up to states, leading to Friday. I'm so excited for that. What's that? Why don't you talk about the bond?
So quick update, the bond committee met 2 weeks ago, I think, right? We just kind of reconvened with the health and safety committee. We have a couple new members on that committee as well. It is open to the public, anybody's more than welcome, dates are on the calendar. And we will be meeting again in a few weeks, just as we had some questions, we're working with the architects to kind of see where our next step is going and what our plan is to move forward, what the board's thought would be. We do have Marcus and George sit on that committee as well. But kind of just regrouped to say, you know, that committee did a lot of work over the past year to get to that point of a bond vote. So we do have an established list that we just now need to kind of revisit. Dr. Sarah and I had a good conversation with the group, kind of hashing out where do we think we need to make some changes. So we're looking at making a recommendation to lower the amount, the dollar value of it, and that's what we're kind of dissecting right now, what's able, what's not, working with the architects, maybe we can scale down some of the projects to come up with a comfortable number that we feel the community can support and help us move forward with some of the infrastructure needs that we really need to get done going forward. So I think that's it for the bottom. Okay.
I think we're good.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay. That brings us to questions and comments regarding tonight's agenda only. The Board of Education is asked to accept the minutes of the following meetings as prepared by the district clerk. Minutes of the meeting of the Board of Education on October 25th, 2023. Motion.
Motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes, motion carried unanimously. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, accepts the following financial reports. Internal claims audit report, October 2023. Budget transfer number 8. Motion.
Motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Motion to remove 10A, item 1 from consent agenda. Motion.
Motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Motion be it resolved, motion to approve item 1 from 10A. Motion.
Motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion carries, 4-0 with one abstention. Good. Motion, be it resolved, the motion to approve the consent agenda items 9A through 11A. Motion.
Motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes, motion carried unanimously. That brings us to general public comments. Guidelines for public comments. Members of the public who desire to address or question the board on any topic related to board work are welcome to do so at this time. Speakers are requested to limit their remarks to no more than 3 minutes, to appoint a spokesperson if the concern is a group concern, and to supplement verbal presentations with written reports if necessary or desired. Anyone?
Hi, my name is Christina Acevedo. My son Theodore is in the UPK program here at Clayton Dewey. Now, I do know we're kind of in a funny situation where he's in the elementary school, but really this is run by school. And because of that, I'm running into a few problems. So first week of school, my son comes home and says, there's a boy in class who punched me. Therefore, it's a long day in school. I'm sure it was nothing. They say, you're the boss of your body. Make sure you say, please don't touch me, tell the teacher. Great. Until the next day, it says the same thing. So by week 2, my son's table has changed. He moved to another table. Great. He comes home again. Something has happened. And now we're in November, about 2.5 months into school. And if he's not telling me he's being beat up by the same boy, he's telling me another kid was beat up by this boy. So they're 4 years old. We have a bully in class. Unfortunately for the teachers, this goes into another issue, which is there's a handful of kids in class who don't speak English, which is fine. That's great. But the teachers only speak English. So now, I don't know if they can speak to the boy and really get the impression that hitting, we don't hit, we don't punch, we don't kick, we don't push. We don't throw toys where my son's ended up in the nurse's office before because this boy is beating him up. The teachers try to speak to the parents. Unfortunately, they can't because there is a language barrier. And that's fine because there should be resources within Plain Huey. Unfortunately for the UPK, they don't have access to those resources. And when myself and other parents have reached out to the principal's office, we're told, sorry, UPK just rents a room in our building. That's not our jurisdiction. So now I'd like to know, the school itself has all of these signs about, bullying isn't good. Mr. Ritchie gives great speeches on how they don't tolerate bullying. But unfortunately for us, it's not under his jurisdiction. School just rents a room from us. I can't help you there. So I reached out to school. When I reach out to school, they tell me things like, no one else has called us, you're the only parent complaining. Now, UPK will stand in line and wait for the door to open, so I know this is true. They also like to say, wow, we weren't aware there were children who don't speak English in the classroom. We'd love to help and have someone interpret. That can't be true, because I filled out the same 50 pages. I'm sure those parents filled it out where you had an option, either English or Spanish, and they asked multiple times what language you speak. Then we had to fill it out online. So my point being, these teachers are doing the best they can, but unfortunately, they generally can't communicate with these kids. They can't communicate with the parents. And then us, as parents, are just kind of told, well, the boy did get put in timeout. Fantastic. But why is my son being punched numerous times a day, numerous times a week, and this other boy loses his treasure chest options, he's put in timeout? I do realize they're 4. I understand that. But 4-year-olds also shouldn't have a bully in the classroom. I shouldn't feel like my son is being targeted. He shouldn't cry that he's scared to go to school. When that boy is absent, I hear great things about school. He had a wonderful day. All the kids had a wonderful day. When that boy is there, as each child walks out, you hear, I won't use his name, but you hear so-and-so did this, so-and-so punched this person, so-and-so did me. And these teachers are drowning. They don't know how to get through to the child or the parents. They don't have any resources. Now, the ENL teachers are actually across the hall. But again, because they rent a room in the school, they can't even go across the hall and say, can you help us? Can you come help us at pickup time?
Ms. Sutton, and I don't want to cut you off, but I hear you, your child should feel safe, we want your child to feel safe. Please talk to Dr. Meyer tomorrow, and we will interview, we'll make sure that we do everything we can to interview appropriately. It's not about renting space, that's not the philosophy we have here. It's connected to.
That's why I wanted him in this building, because I felt he would be safest. He would have administration.
We are doing everything we can to connect to our pre-Ks. They're an extension of our school, so that is 100% not our philosophy. I'm sorry if that's the impression that you got.
It's not even an impression, that's what's being told when we call the office.
Well, that won't be told anymore, and I can assure you that. Please call Dr. Meyer tomorrow. She handles the coordination between our pre-K, and we will address it, and I can assure you we will do everything we can to address it to your satisfaction, to ensure that your child has that day that he always talks about when that other child's not.
Yes, and I hate to do this because my son obviously is my most important, but for those kids who don't speak the language, they need help too. Like, I can't imagine being 4 years old and going to school and I'm away from my mom and dad and I don't know what anyone is saying. And I'd love to believe that he's just scared, that boy, but again, it's an everyday issue and these teachers really need help and I don't even think they're getting it from school. So, which is essentially why I'm here today. I appreciate it. I will speak to you after. Thank you.
Can I ask a question, actually? I used to work in a program with special needs children in preschool. Now, do parents have access to information if they need to refer their child because that parent has concerns to a program to take evaluation to see if that child needs a program? Because we don't really know what is going on with that child. It might have just be a language barrier because now there's a child that's only Spanish speaking exhibits
Thank you.
I'm just saying, I just want to make sure that those parents have access to information.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know.
Oh, that's, and I worked in the program for 15 years, so. I'm related. So, but those programs will. I had a lot of parents that really didn't know how to get that information, it's very hard, so.
I did see that you had signed. Did you
I
have
did.
comments?
I did, so I am volunteering to be on the curriculum committee, and I did get the new information that's come down. And I do have some concerns, because I just want to make sure that we do keep the academics strong in the district. And also, I had brought up some of my concerns in terms of literacy and writing at the elementary level. My daughter's in 4th grade, and 4th grade is a tough year. I hear about it every day from her, how the standards have increased, and they should, because that's when we're getting them ready for middle school. And I just really want to make sure that we're getting our children, prepared with that ability to not only formulate responses, but also to get those responses down on paper, to be able to write a cohesive paragraph, to understand all those intricate details that go into writing. So I just really want to make sure that we don't get too far away from the academics as we venture out to new avenues and to do areas of education. Because if they don't have that foundation, they're not going to be successful in middle school, high school. They're not going to be able to later on write a business letter or correspond to, my husband corresponds all the time to different clients. You have to fight back and forth. So my concern is the foundation starts now, elementary. It is so important. I give those elementary school teachers a lot of credit, I really do. They work very hard, they're forming that foundation, and I just want to make sure that we're continuing to do that here in Santa Ridges, and that our children are getting pushed a little bit, because children always amaze me about what they really could accomplish, and I'll tell you that. I've had so many students that I was like, wow, they've come so far. And I just don't want to underestimate our students here. I want to make sure that we're pushing them and giving them the supports, and that we're really pushing literacy, so.
Absolutely are, and we actually this year started, and I'm sure, I believe you were at the committee meeting yesterday, so you were informed that we do have a K-12 literacy initiative that is exploring all of the research and, moving to, revise some of our practices here in line with exactly what you're saying.
And I think it needs a little more writing in 4th grade.
Yeah.
And I know it's hard
That's all
because COVID was, kind of prevention things, and I know we're getting that, but we really need to focus on that writing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? No? Okay. Our next Board of Education meeting is Wednesday, December 13th. Executive 6, action meeting approximately at 7. We're going to be in Clayton Huey Elementary all-purpose rooms. We have a holiday musical performance. That sounds like it's going very good. Okay. We are going to move into executive session. When we come back out, we're not taking any action. We're not moving. So, motion to move into executive session, the purpose for which is discuss a personnel matter, the discussion in public, which would be an unlawful invasion of personal and privacy. Motion. Second. All in favor? Yes. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much for coming tonight. For your comments.